Yes, people, welcome back to another stream. And tonight's stream, man, we're going to be dissecting everything from today's game, from the team selection, player performances, stuff that happened on the pitch, and much, much more as well. As where does this leave us, man? I've seen some people on Twitter saying the title's gone. Is the title gone? And what do we do now for the Arsenal game? We've only won one game, or two games against the top six, both against United. We have to beat Arsenal for me. Where does that leave us? I'm going to bring the panel on tonight. By the way, the panel is absolutely sick, and I can confirm it's a bozo-free panel, man. Let's just see. We've got here. Big up to Mustafa. Big up to Arvida Zayn. Thultam's in the building. Good to see you, mate. Big up to Tyrese, Sub Hottie, Mank Ninja. Big up to Anis. Connor's in the building. Big up to Sammy, Haribo, Austin, AC, Brett Sear as well. Big up to Connor, Sean, King Mo, Briz, Thultam, Jazz, Pardo, Alvida Zayn, City 9320. Big up to Nax, O'Canus, Dan, King Kong, Nari Men, Itchy. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Do me a favor, guys. Make sure you drop a like on the stream, man. Because we need to get those likes up. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel. This is the second channel, More LB. Let me just make sure subscriber mode's on. There we go. Right, it's time to bring in the panel. Let's start off with Bailey. First time making his appearance on the channel. Big up, man. How you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks for the opportunity of having me on. Probably a straight in talk ahead tonight, I bet.
Well, it could be. It could be. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. But yeah, big up to for coming on, bro. And of course, you run the Sky Blue Times Twitter account, which obviously only started recently, but you guys should definitely give that a follow on Twitter. Some insane threads there. We got Joe Butterfield. Joe has just done a podcast with the City Report boys, and he's jumping onto this as well. Joe, how you doing, mate? You good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm happy to be a not a bozo, which is all that really matters, really, in it. That's what you're here for. But yeah, I've done a lot of talking about this game already, so let's continue. Let's try and dissect it a bit more.
Yeah, there you go. Joe Butterfield is officially not a bozo. We've also got Tone. Tone, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm also not a bozo, so that's great news.
I don't think I am. I get called it fairly often on Twitter, but I don't think so.
I don't know, chat. Is Tone a bozo? I don't know. Let the chat.
Sort of.
Bro, I
don't
know
ask him that.
Yeah. And big up to Sai jumping on. Sai, how you doing, man? You good?
I'm good. I'm here. I'm exhausted, actually, after that game, but I'm here and I'm good. And thanks for having me back.
No, thanks for coming on. Right, let's start with the team selection. Yeah, let's go in sort of how it started. Bailey, Kovacic not in the starting 11. When we've been doing the shows this week, and a lot of the chat, a lot of us have had Kovacic in the starting 11. Most people also didn't have Julian Alvarez in there. Manuel Akanji started in place of Ruben Diaz. Thoughts on those decisions? What was going through your head when you seen the starting 11? Did you agree with the decisions?
I think big balls, the dropout Diaz was probably the standout for me, going for Akanji, looking for Nunez with the pacing behind to stop that. I think Alvarez's intention was probably to try and expose their fullbacks, because as they push up, definitely with Robertson, it's kind of like a 2-2 right at the back to try and expose them out wide. But again, playing him, a lot of people would disagree with. And then Kovacic, I think the substitute appearance kind of tells the story, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was quite shocked to see Kovacic not start. I wasn't shocked to see Akanji play. I've said this all week. Like, people have been saying that I run some sort of Akanji fan channel, but I really wasn't shocked to see Diaz dropped, because that pacing behind, which actually didn't really happen because we were so deep for the whole game. That was a real issue. But yeah, the Kovacic one, man. I mean, does anyone here have any sort of thoughts about why Pep, Joe? Why did Pep do that, in your opinion?
So the front five that he went with, Haaland, well, maybe except for Haaland, so you've got Foden, De Bruyne, Bernardo effectively, and Alvarez as that front six, and that feels like he's probably gone with the most sort of press heavy five that he could pick from that. They're all players who are really good at pressing, particularly Alvarez, which is why when I saw that he was picked, I wasn't necessarily I wasn't really gutted about that, because I thought, well, if nothing else, he's going to give us a lot of energy in the midfield. He's going to sort of do a lot of pressing of that back four, because I mean, that back four, you've got Conor Bradley, who's played a dozen games of football, maybe. Like, I know Kelleher's 25 years old, but he's probably played like 30, 35 professional games of football in his career. And then you've got Kwanzaa as well, who's probably played less than a full season of football. So there's 3 players in that entire back 5 who are there to be got at effectively. So it felt like, picking pressers wasn't exactly the worst decision in the world. But I think what for me was sort of the worrying thing about it when you actually see it on the pitch in practice is that Alvarez is out on the left wing, which we've literally never seen from him during his time at City. Now, apparently he did this quite a bit at River, but we've not seen him do it for City and for Pep. So it feels a bit like a sort of a wild decision for Pep to sort of just drop at Anfield out of nowhere, having never done it at any point in any game beforehand, and kind of just reeks of a Pep Guardiola overthink, where he just looks at this, he looks at a big game at Anfield, a game against Klopp, which obviously always gives him a lot of trouble, and has decided to try and tailor some one game specific plan that we've never seen anywhere else before. And it's kind of backfired, because I think when you're in those wide positions, you really need to have the things you need in those wide positions. It's one, to be able to take on your fullback, and 2, to be able to some degree keep control of the ball and do the tracking back that's needed. And Alvarez, who's normally quite good for tracking back, didn't really do much of that on the left-hand side. He certainly didn't keep hold of the ball, and he didn't really get the better of Conor Bradley either. So it felt like it was a bit of a fail in all possible departments, really, putting Alvarez out on the left.
I just feel that, like, with Alvarez, I feel a bit sorry for him now, because he's not playing in the right positions. He's getting so much smoke off the fan base because he's playing poorly. I mean, today I don't like cussing our players, man, but he was dreadful. He really was. I mean, his passing accuracy. He had a 56% passing accuracy.
Yeah,
that is honestly, man. Like, when I seen the stats when I was doing the player ratings, I refreshed it, man. I was like, "What? This can't be right." I've never seen passing accuracy so low. But I feel like, I see someone put on Twitter. It's quite funny, actually. If Mercedes, for example, put a monkey into the F1 car, and then the guy crashes the car, are you going to blame, who are you blaming? Are you going to blame the monkey? Or are you going to blame the guy who put him there? Like, I feel so sorry for Alvarez, because he's a striker, and he might be able to play slightly like off the striker, maybe slightly off him to the left or to the right, but he's not a midfielder and he's not a winger. And today he was so bad. But whose fault is that? Is it Alvarez's fault, or is it Pep's fault for playing in there? Do you know what I mean?
Well, sorry. Yeah, just going to say, well, it's really on Pep. And I know the first thing people are going to say in the chat is he thinks he's better than Pep. But it's when I saw the lineup, happy to go with it and stuff. But you're right about Alvarez's performance was poor. He wasn't the only one, and his passing accuracy was only just lower, I think, than De Bruyne's. I'm sure he was down 60% somewhere at some point in the game. I'm sure LB I can see he's going to look now and go, actually, Tony, you're right. It's 95. I can see. I'm used to you now. But Pep, Joe just touched on it there. Pep has these things where he does overthink a little bit, maybe trying to be a bit too smart. But I do understand, as Joe also said, about the press and pressing from there. Let's have here we go. 64. Okay, yeah. So there were a few of them out there, I think, with passing accuracy problems today. And Alvarez, unfortunately for him, because he is getting pelters, as you alluded to just now. And his performance today, unfortunately for him, won't help. But like you said, he's been played out of position. But I'm not really sure what his best position is anyway. I don't mean that as in he's not good anywhere. I'm not that sure where he is best. I don't know what you guys think.
But I just had one thing in there, is the last game against Copenhagen, he did play on the left, but he was like inside a bit, and he had Kovacic supporting him from behind, and then he had Guardiola, who's much better than Ake is, at coming right up the flank and supporting him. Yeah. So against Liverpool, he's really quite isolated and having to do more of the role of a winger rather than like an inside forward, which is probably where he's better at.
I wasn't shocked when I saw Alvarez on the left wing today, just as Akanji. Me, LB, and Tone did discuss the possibility of Alvarez playing on the left today, since that Pep did a trial with him in the Copenhagen game. But that left side today was just, it was terrible. Like today we saw the impact Grealish can have. I have no doubt in my mind, if Grealish play today, we win. Like the people are after him with all the goal and the lack of goal and assist contributions, but his defensive work would have helped Ake so much. Bradley had so much space to run onto against Ake, and yeah, that left side cost us, and I really think that we should have played Kovacic for that control in the middle. We had the players to control the middle in this game, and we have never had a better opportunity to dominate Liverpool at Anfield that we had today with their injuries. So not having control at a level where it should be, for me, was where it all went wrong. Like, it was too chaotic.
You know
The
what's
problem-
interesting? Go on, Joe.
Sorry, I was just going to say, like, in terms of that, like, Pep's come out after the game and said, like, oh, when Kovacic came on the pitch, like, we got control back again.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, like, that's literally what we all wanted from, like, minute one. Like, why didn't you just, like, I don't think it doesn't take Pep Guardiola to predict that having Kovacic on the pitch is going to give us a bit more control. So, yeah, that makes it even more frustrating then that he didn't do it. Because I think what we've all seen from this, certainly the games against the Big Six, is that we've not controlled them at all, and that's the reason why, except for United, we haven't won any of them, because we've just been conceding goals for fun, giving up chances going the other way so much. I mean, we'll get into it when we come to the actual game itself, but if Luis Diaz knew how to shoot, like, we'd have lost that game 3 or 4-1. Like, it's just we're in a position where we're all looking into these games now, and we'll probably think exactly the same thing when it comes to Arsenal at the Etihad in a few weeks' time. We just want our best, most controlling 11 on the pitch. And with Grealish not in the side because he can't because of injuries, Kovacic is absolutely in that best 11 at the moment for that. And the fact that he didn't start, and the fact that he comes off the bench and does exactly what we all wanted him to do and wanted him in the starting 11 for in the first place, makes it even more difficult to take that he didn't then just start. It's difficult to really see what Pep's actual game plan was based on his starting 11, considering how badly it ended up turning out.
You know what, as well, the Kovacic thing, within a minute of him being on the pitch, you instantly saw what he was giving the team. Like, he just kept the ball, he drive forward with it, he held it, he didn't do no dead passes. Like, instantly, it was almost like, whoa, it was more annoying when he come on, because you can see, like, what we had. But Bailey, you made a good point there about Alvarez. He did play against Copenhagen, and he played all right, but the difference is he was in a fundamentally different setup. This is his heat map from today, yeah? More traditional left wing. Look how close he is. This is, by the way, this is attacking, obviously, right to left. This is his heat map, much more traditional sort of left wing. If I flip it to the Copenhagen one, look how much more central he is. He wasn't really playing as a winger. He was like, that's what I said before. He played more sort of inverted, or almost as if like a, maybe, I don't know even what type of position that is, to be honest with you. It's almost like a new invented position of sort of like, not an attacking mid, but not a left winger. It's a 10 then. But like, you see how much more sort of central he is. So yes, he played well against Copenhagen, but he did play in a different position. And we can say, oh, he played left wing in both, but he didn't. And I think he needs the support if he is going to be playing that role, he needs the support of someone like Kovacic in there to help him out. And he didn't. And today it was so bad. But like I said, I'm just feeling a little bit sorry for Alvarez at the moment, because he's getting a lot of stick off the fan base. And I get it, because his performances aren't particularly great. Like, well, he's had some good performance. He's had a very topsy-turvy sort of year, but like today, it wasn't great, to be honest with you. And I do think Kovacic was a large part of that. We need to get control, like Joe's saying, in these big games. It's about controlling the football match. And if you look at some of the games that we had last year against like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, we dominated, even Arsenal, we were dominating the football match. And that's why we got the success at the other end, because, we didn't give up chances. Whereas now, it just feels a bit like, and you know what the biggest one for me was? The biggest evidence of this was Chelsea away, where it was an entertaining game, but it was just a mess. And yes, we could have won it. We could have lost it as well. But that's not really what you associate City with. People like to say City are boring. We're not actually boring at the moment when we're playing these big games. You know what I mean? We're opening it up. We're going end to end. We're not having control. So listen, it is a strange one, and obviously Alvarez didn't play particularly well, but Manuel Akanji, that was obviously a big one as well. What do we? Sorry, I'll come to you on this one. What do you think about the Akanji being played at Ruben Diaz? Because there was a lot of people before. I was chill with it. I was calm, as people know, but there was a lot of people before the game a little concerned at Akanji, but I thought he played brilliantly again.
I did too. I just want to throw a last thing in on Alvarez. So him playing, could that be because Pep is thinking we're lacking goals due to not having Gundo and Maras? I mean, we don't have that many goals on our side at the moment, and playing Alvarez give us another outlet. I think that's maybe where he comes from, and also why he has been playing him in the middle in so many games. Just like to end it on that. That's why I think he's playing.
I don't think football works like that, though, man. I don't think football works like, oh, like we've lost Gundogan who scores goals, so we need goals. Let's just whack another striker on the pitch. It's about the team cohesion. It's about how the team plays.
I agree. But Pep, like the thought of Pep, that's maybe why he decided to play Alvarez.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think the decision to, like I said kind of at the start, like the decision to play Alvarez itself is not necessarily a problem if he plays centrally in a position that he's comfortable in. I think if you're going to sort of do that and then put him, like, obviously, like you say, he did play out on the left versus Copenhagen, but he wasn't really. He had like an overlapping fullback in Gvardiol the whole time. He had Kovacic behind him supporting him. Like, he was just asked to basically just go out, hug the touchline, and just basically beat Bradley one-on-one, which I don't think anybody would ever say is like Julian Alvarez's way of playing football. I think if you're going to have him in the team and just sort of play Foden on the left, Bernardo on the right, and just have that midfield when make Alvarez be the pressing guy, you could maybe look at that and go, yeah, right, cool, like that's fine, we'll do it. But I think playing Alvarez is only a problem if you're going to play him in the position that he's not at all comfortable with. And I don't think, other than maybe that goal against Copenhagen where he just sort of like cuts in on the right and just whacks it at the net, like has Alvarez got a track record of like scoring loads of goals off the left? Like, I don't feel like he does at all. So it doesn't feel like it's, if Pep wants to get him involved in goals, keep him central where he gets in tight areas in the penalty area and can just like fire off a shot. Like, that's what Alvarez is good at when he does get goals. He's not good at coming in from the touchline on the left-hand side, beating a man and then curling it at the far post. Like, I don't think I've ever seen him do that. So yeah, that's where my frustration comes in.
Sorry, Joe. I was just going to say my thinking when I saw it set up. Sorry, LB, I know you want to move on from Alvarez, but just quickly, when I first saw him and out on the left, my initial thought was he's got in there to help, maybe help Ake down that left because he works hard. So that was my very first impression, but it didn't really seem to work that way. He was sort of still out on the left. But that was my very first impression when I sort of thought this might be all right because he'll probably work back and come in more like he did against Copenhagen. But it just didn't work and just didn't work for him, really.
Yeah, sad. Right, let's give some praise to my favourite player at the moment, Manuel Akanji. Like some people in the chat do say that I'm running an Akanji fan channel. And listen, maybe if we don't win any trophies this year, I will just sit there at the end of the season and parade this man because we signed him for 15 million quid. All the Dortmund fans were laughing at us. Yeah, last year, key part of the treble winning side. And for me, this year's been our best defender. Some people try to tell me it was Ake, which I disagree with. I'm pretty sure after today, people will still be telling me it's Manuel Akanji. Bailey, mate, this guy for me, yeah, he's first half in particular, some of the passes he was doing out from the back into our midfield was exceptional. He's got pace. I think he's getting slightly better in the air as well, which maybe was slightly a weakness, but he just puts in good performances all the time. And today he was dropped for Diaz. Big call, brave call, one that I didn't think was massively surprising. There's a lot of City fans out there before the game who was a little bit worried about it, but I genuinely thought he was brilliant yet again.
I think you're spot on, and even with the result, when you get to the end of it, Pep was proven right with his backline decisions. The amount of times you could count. You had Diaz making a run in behind that Akanji would kind of just shuffle him over to one side, or he'd just be able to get a leg in front or an arm in front because he's always playing the ball into space. Proved that right all the time. I think the decision up the pitch, midfield and into the forward press, that was more where our problems lied. Like, we dealt definitely second half, dealing defensively with the issues. The back line handled it as best they could, but The way it was just kind of like fired into our midfield and then fired in behind. There's not really much more they could do beyond what they did.
Yeah, he was class. I'm just loving his performances, man. He just gets on with the job and rarely makes any errors. And I'm starting to think, like, you know, the next games, will he put Diaz back in? Because John Stones is obviously a key part of this team, and he's not going to be dropped. Like, I don't know, as Akanji, because I'm always a fan of, like, if you're playing well and you've got the shirt, I don't care who the other guy is, like, just keep him. Like, I don't know, do any of you guys here think that maybe Diaz might, not necessarily because he's done anything wrong, but just because Akanji's playing so well, might find his way on the bench for a bit? Tone, like, what do you think?
Certainly possible. This is where City have got options with Gvardiol back as well. So you've got him who hasn't really played in his natural spot yet. I don't recall. So we've got great options at the back, or certainly on paper we have. And some of them aren't playing particularly well. But Akanji played right. He played left as well. That was recent, and he was probably man of the match. It left, right, brilliant again. I wouldn't be enormously surprised if he started at right and then Diaz plays in the centre. That's the good thing against Arsenal. I mean, that's the good thing with the options and the way Pep likes to play it. He'll play 4 centre backs across the back if he feels he has to. I like Diaz, and I stand by. I still think when everybody's fit and firing, he's controversial probably, but he's probably our best centre back. I think Diaz, when he's absolutely on it and he's a leader back there as well, which is very key, more so than probably the other defenders. I'm just letting them go through my head. He seems to lead more from the back, Diaz, but Akanji is brilliant again. And I'll be honest, whoever plays across that back line, I'm happy with. Whenever I see the back four, I think, great, no problem.
Yeah, it is an area of our squad that we're super strong.
If I'm gonna keep Akanji in, I think a lot of people in the chat are saying this already, but if I'm gonna keep Akanji in, like as Tones just said there, I'm 100% dropping Walker. Like, if there's anyone who's gonna miss out for him, Diaz coming back in is like it's Walker who should make way for that, not Akanji. I think Akanji's been absolutely, wherever you put him, like as he's just said there, wherever you put him, he's absolutely amazing. And I think last season we had a really good run of form with 4 centre backs playing at the back. I think we did it against Bayern in both legs, didn't we? We had 4 centre backs. I just think I personally think it's the best setup for us in terms of control, because I think Walker is far too erratic on the ball to be, and if I have to watch that man hit the byline and then smash the ball into Rose Edge one more time, like, honestly, I'd rather we just committed to just having our fullbacks not bomb forward than have Kyle Walker bomb forward, to be honest. But I think
why did he smack that across the box, Joe? Why didn't he just put a normal cross in? Like,
mate, when he was approaching the side of our penalty area, literally every single person watching on TV saw Haaland make that run into the centre, and they were like, "Mate, all you've got to do is just pass this to Haaland, and this is a shot on target at least." And instead, he holds down square for as long as possible, and then that's just it. Then it's gone. And I just think, look, Walker's problems for me have been kind of apparent all season. Like, he's great for a game where he has an individual sort of foot race to win with a player like Rashford when he did in the derby. Like, if you want to put him in a one-on-one with someone for pace, he'll win it. But I think even today we saw a lot of opportunities where Diaz had the ball on the left-hand side and he was in possession of the ball. Walker's only real response to that is to kind of jog 2 yards away from them and not actually do anything to sort of harry him and put a foot in. And it's like your whole thing, like the one thing that everyone says is like, oh, well, if Walker didn't have his pace, then what would he be good at? It's like, if you've got that pace, use it. Like, get ahead of the man, get a foot in, do something else other than just sort of like watch him. Because every time Diaz had the ball on that left-hand side, he was still able to get past Walker and get across into the box. And I just feel like when Akanji's on the pitch, I do not feel that same level of like inevitability that a player is going to put that ball in. I think for me, yeah, I love Akanji, keep him in, but I think his best performances for us actually have come at fullback rather than centre back. So I'd personally, because I think Ake, I know Ake is going to get a lot of stick for today for a lot of reasons, but I think But I think Ake and Akanji is our best fullback partnership at the moment. That pairing's just better than anything else we've got.
Akanji's build-up play is so underrated as well, you know. And when he was on the right-hand side, was it against Copenhagen that he played Akanji right back at home the other day, and Walker was rested? Like, did you not just feel that, like, when he had the ball on the right, we just had so much build-up play and momentum coming from that right-hand side? And listen, you know, what can you do? That's not Walker's strong point. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, like it is what it like. It's just not his strong point. His strong point is usually defending. Like, he's not his best part of his game. He's not going forward and his build-up play. But you know, and Pep's clearly aware of this, by the way, because he dropped him for the final of the Champions League. Yeah, and he didn't play him in a couple of the other big games last year. So Pep's not an idiot. Pep knows that there are obviously limitations with Walker. It's about obviously. He was going to leave, so then he took him out for dinner and convinced him to stay. We've now made him captain. Do we feel that maybe, I don't know, Bailey, what you think about this, but do you think that maybe does Pep have some sort of loyalty maybe to Walker this year because he stopped him going buying and said to stay, and then does he feel like he can't really drop him for the big games? I don't know.
I think a few things through the season have stood out. Obviously, him playing that kind of right wing role, getting more out of Foden, drifting centrally, probably a bit of a factor. I think injury, suspensions, probably another factor with Stones out. But coming to the end of the season, there's got to be a point in which he realises I have to start playing Akanji at right back because his passing ability on that side is much better. His influence on Diaz, much better than having Walker there. And how highly do you rate your one-on-one defending that it outweighs all the other aspects of defending? There's so many other things a defender has to do. Walker is exceptional 1v1. As long as that 1v1 is against somebody that has such a high level of talent, it kind of sharpens his mind. But you see him with Matoma, who's not as highly rated as, say, a Rashford and other players. He's still getting spun around. And the influence, like I said, with Diaz or whoever's that partner, has always been a little bit kind of sus compared to others. So I think come the run-in, are we going to get to a game where it's too late because Pep didn't make the decision that he had to make, really?
Yeah, it's a tough one because obviously it's the captain, but you know, it's really hindering our build-up play, and I don't even think he's been as good defensively this year as he has been in the past, which is I can't remember who just said it, but it kind of like you got to balance it up. At what point do you say, actually, you know what I mean, your lack of build-up plays is not now outweighing your defensive, you know what I mean? So it's a bit of an interesting one with the Kyle Walker situation. Let me go through somebody. Go on.
Just add one thing. I think, Joe, you mentioned Ake. If we're talking about Ake's abilities, I'm pretty sure your list is going to go beyond 1v1. We're not just going to say he's really good with wingers like Saka and Salah. There's so much more things Ake can provide to the team, whereas with Walker, that list at the moment is only really one thing. So how highly are you going to rate that compared to all the stuff that Akanji will provide?
And listen, on the Ake thing, I mean, I wasn't going to spend too much time on the Ake thing. For me, and I'd be interested to hear your points of view on this. I'm putting that pretty much 99% on Ake. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've seen some people blaming Edison, maybe that shouldn't be diving in. I know Joe disagrees, but for me, I just look at Ake there thinking, mate, like you've kind of screwed Edison there. You put him in that position. Joe, you're shaking your head.
Right. So I absolutely fully, Ake is the reason why that decision happens. Like why the situation where Edison has to do something has come up. However, there is enough time between that pass being played and the moment where Edison tries to boot Nunes into the cop that Edison can make a different decision. Like the correct thing to do. Obviously, he's already on his way to sort of meet him, so he's caught in no man's land and can't then backtrack to his own net. Otherwise, he kind of like makes a decision for Nunes in terms of taking on a shot. But if you just like come out to him, fake making a tackle, like just stand him up, do something to just literally take it, push it, force him to the byline. And then at that point, he's got to do one of two or three things to get the ball in the back of the net. But if you just run up to him and if the ball was if he was so close to the ball that I could be like, look, it's a millimeters thing, like a split second earlier and he's kicked that ball away, fine. But it's not like he was nowhere near it. And that is like, I know that Ake's caused that decision to be made. However, it's ultimately the fault ultimately is on Ederson for deciding that was the thing that he was going to do. Like it wasn't. It's for me like there was enough time for him to decide to do something else, and he still decided to do what was very obviously the wrong thing. Like he was never getting to that ball. So yeah, I don't think it's like 100% Ederson or even 90% Ederson. I think it's probably like a 70-30 split, but I do think it's far more Ederson than it is Ake in terms of that.
Well, I'm watching the replay now, right? Because I'm thinking, I'm thinking, wait a second, is Joe right here? Bro, are you sure? I'm watching the replay, man.
It is quite wide, though, isn't it? The ball, like it's not. He has to come across and out as well at the same time.
Yeah. And he's got himself injured doing that as well. He's got himself injured doing that. And I'm not being funny, but he had other things. If you don't like slide tackle, do a slide tackle, do something. You don't have to. Why did he try to boot that ball as hard as he possibly could when he wasn't gonna win it? Like, and now he's got probably a groin injury that's been caused by overextending it, and he might be out for a month or so. I mean, we're seeing how long Grealish is out. Like, I don't know. Ake, like I say, Ake is ultimately the reason why it happens, but I think Ederson can absolutely do better in that situation. And giving away a penalty was not nailed on the moment Ake made that pass. Like it was a choice Ederson made to do
it. Anyone agree with Tone? Or anyone on my side? All Ake's fault?
It's never just one player's fault, but I would say it's mostly Ake's fault. Like it's the causation principle. Ederson doesn't have to do this action if Ake just do the simple pass. He wasn't pressured or anything. It's a simple pass. Can Ederson do better? Does he have other choices than what he decides to do? Of course, and that's on him. But it's the causation principle, and it's on Ake. Yeah, there's nothing really more to say from my point. It's a simple pass. We're like a minute and a half into second half. Like they just had a pep talk, and like underplaying that pass is at Anfield when you're 1-0 up. Yeah, it screwed the entire half from there. We just like fell apart. So yeah, some blame on Ederson, but mainly it's on Ake.
Okay. Couple of other things I want to speak about in terms of this game. I just want to come to the super chats first. Big up to everyone in the stream. Hopefully you're all enjoying the show. Please make sure you drop a like on the stream. We're averaging around 400 viewers, man, which is really good. Please make sure you drop a like on the stream. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. And by the way, if you're watching back on replay, make sure you give us the comments in down below. And of course, double check that you are subscribed, because remember, this is the second channel, man. A lot of people don't realize that you're not actually subscribed. Big up to Dr. Foot. He says, City in the mud. City in the mud. Well, this guy's a City fan as well. Big up to my brother, LB, says, Pep being the biggest bozo this season, not playing players in their proper position. Second biggest bozo is Kyle Walker. The third biggest bozo is... one of the mods needs to time that guy out. Big up to Stan Cool, says, Kovacic has 4 Champions Leagues for a reason. He had to play today.
Yeah,
I literally mention this all the time. You know, he's a very, very, very experienced player. And, you know, when you go into somewhere like Anfield or anywhere that's trickier, the Bernabeu, Allianz, you typically go for experienced players. So that was a huge surprise that he didn't start today. LB then comes in and says, Akanji right back, drop Walker, please, God, drop Walker. And Sign Silver says, agree with Joe, it was Nunes. He would have missed it with the super chat. I just want to touch on a couple of other players before we sort of move on to the game generally and stuff. But I tell you what, guys, someone that I thought was really poor today, and this is going to be an interesting debate because I've seen someone tweet on Twitter to say he thought he was our best player. Bernardo Silva today, I honestly thought that second half was the worst performance I've seen from Bernardo Silva since he joined City. I really thought it was bad. Does anyone like, what's your opinions on Bernardo, Tone? Like, you're shaking your head. Like, what's your thoughts? Because when I seen people on Twitter saying it was his best performance, like he was one of our better players, I was like, what? I thought it was awful. Can't lie.
Yeah, I don't think he was the worst, but he was certainly below. I'll be honest, I think he's been below standard for a fair few games recently. I can recall thinking about his performance after games when we've discussed it and so on, and on Twitter and that. And I've never thought he's been the worst player, but he's definitely below the standard. Every now and again he'll play well. He's a top player, but yeah, to me, he's not been performing that well for a little while, dare I say, for Bernardo, because people love him, and I'll no doubt get shot down as will you now. But yeah, I don't think he played well today. Again, he's not the only one. I don't think he was the worst, as I say. He's sort of middle of the road. To me, his passing is way off in some games. I don't know what he's seeing, and I don't just mean that weird free kick he did. What was it, a couple of weeks ago? You know, when he put it straight out of play.
Yeah,
that was just a bizarre one. But some of his passing to me has been very off. He just looks like a player just underperforming at the moment for whatever reason. I can't imagine it's confidence. I don't know what it is. Maybe just having a bit of down.
I actually liked him in the first half. I think his pressing was really good. Like his runs and determination and everything was as I would expect it to be. But I agree in second half but that was like a common thing for our players, I think, in the second half. But I don't remember really seeing Bernardo other than the yellow card he got in the second half, and then a few missed passes. So yeah, like a day and night performance from Bernardo, but I think we could, say that of a lot of the players.
That's probably true. You know what it is with Bernardo, yeah? Because he's one of the more experienced players, and he's a player that can do similar stuff to what Kovacic can do in the middle. I guess that when we needed calm players, I'm looking to him to say, get on the ball, Bernardo, and kill the game. And when he didn't, that's probably why I'm getting a little bit frustrated. But yeah, I don't know, man. He's also getting played in different positions a lot as well. I don't think that helps anyone, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Bernardo said that himself, didn't he? Like, I can't remember if it was last season or the season before, but he got to the end of the season and was basically just like, I don't like not knowing which position I'm going to play game after game. Like, and I think that obviously, 1 week he has to play right mid while Foden's on the left. Like another week he has to play as one of the eights. Today he has to play sort of more deep with Rodri and sort of do a lot of that sort of dirty defensive work that we've seen him do against Liverpool before. Yeah, I think I'm with Sai. I think the first half he was really good. Like other than John Stones, I would say he was probably our best player in that first half. And then that kind of then turns into just sort of becoming one of the rest in the second half, when like basically everybody's heads dropped and everybody put in like a 5 out of 10 performance at absolute best in that second half. And then that Bernardo wasn't any different to anyone else. And I agree with Sai. I didn't really notice him much in the second half. So he didn't stand out to me as someone who was, especially bad compared to anybody else. It's just more that it's more like you say, because you didn't notice him, that is a problem from one of your more experienced players at Anfield. Like the fact that he just went missing is not good. But it was first half he was really good, and second half he was just there.
If you don't see him when he's playing in the middle, that's a problem, because that's where we should be winning the game, securing the control of the game and the tempo. So if you don't notice him doing that like shows there's a problem. And I do think that maybe bar a few games, most of his biggest performances has actually been on the right. Like last season he was immense out there. So again, it's for me, it's coming back to Pep not playing Kovacic in the middle, having Bernardo on the right. We could have played Foden on the left. We would have the control we needed to take the game as far as we wanted. And if we then wanted to do any offensive changes, we could do that. We would have Alvarez and Doku on the bench to come in and impact the game. When you have to do the reverse of that and putting Kovacic in when you really need to win, but also you don't want to lose now, you're reversing the possibility of actually using the offensive players as a weapon, which I think was a mistake. And we talked about it on Friday, that we should like go with the steady control in the beginning and then try to win the game off the bench if needed. If we need a goal, we have the weapons out there.
Yeah, interesting.
I'd also just say, and probably a topic for LB to look at in the future, would be that left 8 role has always been a hole through the season. And a lot of the reaction online are pointing out problems we've known all season, which is Gundogan leaving has forced Pep to move a lot of things around game to game, depending on who's in, who's not. And Bernardo has been used to fill a lot of those holes in terms of adding control in midfield. I think we see with De Bruyne, which we might get to later on in midfield, what he adds, but also what he takes away from the team. And then because you don't have Gundogan there or somebody similar to that in midfield, it's a tough ask to kind of balance out that group and leave just Rodri by himself.
I sold my car to Lucas Paquetá.
He can also do that job.
Just wait
right?
for that guy. That guy would be perfect in there.
So that role
Oh,
on the
my
wing
Lord.
and then coming into midfield,
Yeah.
that's like kind of coined the Bernardo Silva role, is exactly what Paquetá did at Lyon as well, and is doing at West Ham on the left wing.
He's so good. He's so good. He was again today.
Yes.
He's so good.
Yeah, I think Paquetá is fucking class, mate. Honestly, like I think he's perfect for Pep as well because he's so versatile. Like he can play anywhere, and you know he's got that little bit of flair about him. But he actually works hard, really works hard off the ball as well. I think he'd literally be perfect for this system. And I think this team needs a little bit of like grit about it. Yeah, I said today after the game, I said, at times today, like we're a little bit soft, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know, get stuck in, man. You know what I mean? Like we're playing at Anfield, you're going for a title, and like there wasn't really too many people really trying to get stuck in. And I think Lucas Paquetá, if we could get him in, he could add a little bit of that to our game as well, which I think we're lacking. And he can play in so many.
I think also, if you look at the summer signings, there's not probably one that stands out that's come in with the attitude of I'm fucking winning this league this year. Like they've all come in, done very well in their own regard, but nobody has that kind of attitude of like I'm winning this season and I'm turning around. Paquetá would bring that kind of attitude.
Yeah, now 100%. I always think that's the most important thing you got to do in the summer. Even if you like win everything, you've always got to bring in that fresh hunger. And you know, Kovacic, while he's probably hungry, like this guy's been around. Like he's 29, he's won 4 Champions Leagues, he's got 100 caps. Like you know, that's different. Doku probably isn't coming in thinking, right, I'm going to displace Jack Grealish, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva on the wings. He's probably coming in thinking, right, I'm going to try and get myself into this team and see how I can bed in. So, yeah, listen, that's a very good point. I want to move on to the actual sort of result and where that leaves us. Big up to MCFC, says, I really thought we were going to win building up to the game, but a draw is fine. But this summer window needs to be big, as we've just touched on the window there, especially with Lucas Paquetá. Lads, where do we feel that this point leaves us now? Because I said before the game, I think we needed to win the match. I still stand by that. I thought we needed to win today. Obviously, we're not out the title race, right? We're a point behind, but it leaves us in a very difficult situation now because we play Arsenal in our next Premier League game. Then we play Villa. 2 tough matches, both at home, thankfully. But we got to beat Arsenal, man. Like, so what gives... I thought it's back to the panel. I don't know who wants to respond first, but like, what gives us confidence that we can beat Arsenal at home when we've only beaten United in the top 6? Who wants to tackle that one first?
I'll throw it in.
No, go on, Si.
Yeah, so my confidence will be that, from what I'm hearing, is that Greish will be ready for that game. And when Greish have been playing for us this season, which I know it's not like that often, but we have looked like what we did last season. And I just think we are like so close to make it click, but clearly we're not clicking yet. But having Greish for that game and have our entire, hopefully, if nothing goes wrong in the international break or in the FA Cup, we will have the entire lineup ready. But we need to start like getting the thrusters on, because if we play like this against Arsenal, they will beat us at the Etihad. But I have confidence in that our team, when we come back, we will like get together. We will have the players needed to play the way we want to, and I think the occasion will be too big for Arsenal. I think our play will handle it, and I think we will win every game from here and until the end of the season. And I also think it's needed. I know Tone doesn't agree with me, but I think it's needed that we win every game from here on now. Because when you compare the programs or the matches remaining for each team, we definitely have the hardest run of games, and Arsenal, Liverpool have the easiest. So yeah, and I think they are like counting on us beating Arsenal at our place, at our home.
I think at the end of the day, Liverpool are going to win all their games. I think it's just done. I probably think it's done. Like we've today with the lineup that Liverpool put out there. I mean, like I mentioned before, like, you know, Kelleher in net, like Bradley and Kwanzaa playing in the defense, like that is a team that you should be putting to bed, and we didn't. And after this international break, Alisson's going to be back. Salah's already basically back. Like Trent's probably going to be back. They're going to be playing they're going to be putting like Robertson is now back, so Gomez is going to be playing centre back instead of Kwanzaa. Like Liverpool are going to have their full first team back in a few weeks' time. Like the chance for them to drop points has been this last month or so, and the fact that we couldn't do it either is kind of like, don't get me wrong, they've had a couple of scruffy 99th minute winners when they, you know, in games where they shouldn't even be having 8 minutes the injury time that's added on. But that's a whole different conversation about, you know, referees this season for a number of reasons. But I think at the end of the day, this was our opportunity to sort of be the team that does take points off Liverpool, and for whatever reason we fluffed our lines, and Liverpool are just going to go on and like it's in their hands now. If they win every game, it doesn't matter what we do. And I don't think you really need much more of a motivation as a Jurgen Klopp side that's about to say goodbye to him. Like if you can't get yourself up for winning every single game in the rest of the season with multiple key players about to come back from injury, like I don't see how they don't win the league from here personally. If they didn't, it would be pretty mad for me, to be honest. But
well, this is why I said I think we needed to win today, and people sometimes didn't understand. It's not about what I think City are going to do in this 10 games. It's because Joel's right. We've now lost control of the Premier League now, so we could win every game. But I look at the Liverpool fixtures and I just think, who's taking points off this Liverpool team, man? Like Joe just said, we couldn't even beat them today with Connor Bradley and Kwanzaa. Like I'm looking at their fixtures, man. Like Brighton at home, Sheffield United at home. People are trying to tell me United away is going to be difficult for them. I'm just like, give it a rest. That's not going to be difficult. So
mate, we've got to go to White Hart Lane. Like we're dropping points there. Like that's even if Liverpool do go to Old Trafford and drop a stinker, like we're not gonna beat Spurs at their ground. Like I know we've done it in the FA Cup, but we won't. We just won't.
Do we all agree that we must 100% beat Arsenal?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We need to beat Arsenal. Yeah,
because even if we draw against Arsenal, right, I think we'll be 3 points behind Liverpool, but they've got the better goal difference. So that's basically 4. You know, because this is another thing. The goal difference is also not great. Like we have to beat Arsenal for me. I'm honestly in a situation where if we don't beat Arsenal, I think that we shouldn't give up, but I really think then we should start just focusing on the Champions League.
We can all start mentally preparing for the idea that we haven't won the league this year if we don't beat Arsenal. Like it's just that simple.
So. Yeah, I think so. I think that game's crucial, but because this is the thing, and I come back to the original question is like, what gives us confidence that we can beat Arsenal? Sai, you mentioned Grealish a lot, but Bailey, like, what do you think? Because you know, Arsenal this year, they've already beaten City, they've beaten Liverpool, they're flying in the league at the moment. Like, what is it simple as put Grealish in the team and we'll win, or is there something else that we need to do?
I think Grealish would probably more be a factor for the run-in, like having a consistent run of games. I think in terms of like winning the league and the other teams, it's too finely kind of balanced to kind of give up either way. You're talking, do you realistically think Liverpool can't draw a game when they've lost many titles to us because they've drawn so many games that they decide to forget about? Like all it takes is one draw and it swings. And we've seen towards, end of last year, it was Arsenal were done. Arteta needs to think about maybe going somewhere else. Like things can swing so quickly in this race, like it has done early in the season. I wouldn't rule that out for the rest of the season now for the run-in. You think like, there's a lot of people talking as if Arsenal are just going to turn up, Emirates going to be bouncing, and they're just going to run through them. That's just as much a possibility as Porto coming in, stinking the gap out, and coming away with a 1-0 win. Like that would deflate them completely, and then they come into our game being knocked out of the Champions League. That swings it completely for that game. So I think it's too early to kind of jump on that train. I think you're probably very close, and I think a lot of it and a lot of my worry would be: is Pep going to make the decision with Akanji, with Kovacic, with these other selections? That's probably where my worry would lie more.
Looking at so I just looked at the fixtures of us, Liverpool and Arsenal between now and the end of the season, and we've all got to play Spurs at some point. I think Liverpool have got to do it at home, but Anfield are going to Spurs. We're going to Spurs. I think Arsenal and Liverpool both have to play Wolves, who are in goodish form. Both have to play against Villa, but so do we. Both have to play against United. Like I think those three teams are realistically the only ones that have any chance of taking points off them this season. Like between now and the end, like I'm not relying on Bournemouth and Everton and teams like that to do anything. I think it's going to be one of three teams that are going to take points off everyone between now and the end of the season. I think if judging by our performances that we've been putting in this season, like if we were, if we'd have gone into today and put in like a real, treble winning peak team performance and we just happened to have lost to something scruffy going the other way, I'd be like, look, fine, the performance was mint. Like it's not a problem. It's annoying that we've dropped points, but we look good going into the next game. But because of just how shit we were today, I just think I just don't feel like, I don't look at these next few games and think, we're in good form here. Like we just, even though we're on some crazy unbeaten run somehow over the last 2 or 3 months, like how convincing have we really been throughout that run? And it feels like if there's a year where, especially when we're coming up against two teams in the race rather than just one, it feels like having to rely on both teams doing what Arsenal did last season is very, very unlikely, given that we don't at all look like a team that is going to win every game between now and the end of the season.
So every team has to play Wolves, Aston Villa, Brighton, and Tottenham. Yeah. So those 4 teams will have a big influence on this title race, and it's going to be so crazy. Like this run is going to be insane.
So that's quite a few that should have Europe on the cards as well, isn't it? Like Wolves are going to be coming around to conference, like depending on how they form. Villa the same, Brighton, Spurs, like definitely Villa and Spurs, like they're going to need a win because that could be the difference between one of them getting 4th or 5th.
If you look at the last 3 games of the season, if you look at just the final 3, even 4 really, if you want to do that, like final 4 games, we've got the easiest run by a good distance. Like Forest, Wolves, Fulham, West Ham, like that should be at least 3 of those teams should be on the beach by the time we're playing them. Like Liverpool have got West Ham. Maybe, to be honest, if West Ham go deep in the Europa League, that might just be like an easy win. But then Spurs playing for potentially if it's top 5 for Champions League this year, Spurs and Villa are both playing for that probably come the end of the season. Wolves maybe, like as you say, Wolves as you say, maybe going for the Conference League or maybe even a little bit better. And then if you look at Arsenal, like Spurs, North London derby, Bournemouth, okay, probably not a lot to play for there. Everton are going to be in a relegation dogfight, you'd imagine, are going to need that point maybe at the end of the season, potentially. And then United v Arsenal is effectively another derby, isn't it? So that's going to be a difficult one for him. But honestly, it's probably going to be decided by then. We're probably going to either know whether we're going to win the league or not by the time we come to those 4 games. I think if we're more than 3 points off it, then it's just going to be game over in it. I don't expect.
Well, you know what's gutting about all this as well is like the goal difference, man, and. Like I bang on about goal difference from match day 1 of the Premier League, right? Because it's just I don't get why people don't take it seriously. And we've you're looking back at a game like Sheffield United where we only won 2-0, and of course at the time we are just thinking 3 points in the bag, but like this could come down to goal difference. I mean, we're already 28 games into the season. There's only 10 left, and we're all separate. 3 teams are separated by a point. And we've got the worst goal difference there. And if you look at our fixtures, it doesn't look like any of those fixtures really we're going to slap. I mean, even Luton are a decent team, man. I don't see Luton as a side that will put 5 or 6 past. So our only hope really on the goal difference is that we win a lot of these games like 3-0 and just sort of like gradually build it up. Because, like Liverpool, for example, they've still got to play Sheffield United at home. They're going to look at that and say, this isn't just a 3 points. We need to go out there and smack these for 5 or 6 because it could come. We don't really have any of those games left. So it's certainly interesting. The fixtures are crazy, man. Like for me, I think these next 2, maybe 3 games for us, like they're all just must wins. And I can't have people saying that, oh, a point will be good against Arsenal. It's just not, man. It's just not. Like, you've got to actually win football matches. Now, the good thing is we're not losing. Yeah, and even today when we were horrific in the second half, we still somehow found a way to get a point. But we've got to start scoring more goals, you know what I mean, and putting these games to bed, because you know what it feels like if we end up not winning the league this year. It just feels like so gutting because we've just let ourselves down, like against Palace, we let ourselves down. Chelsea away, we let ourselves down. Tottenham at home, we let ourselves down. Like, it's not like we've just like gone out and we've been really poor like we were against Aston Villa. And we've just, oh yeah, fair dues, we'll take the L because we didn't deserve to win. It's like we've come off the pitch going, we should have won that, and we let ourselves down a little bit. So yeah,
on today's game, like bring back to today's game, like does it because we had this discussion on the podcast that I just recorded that'll be out tomorrow. Like we had the discussion about the Anfield effect and like how, you know, we somehow find a way, no matter what form we're in, no matter what form they're in, we find a way to go to Anfield and like not win. Like, is it a problem? Is anybody else just like, this is more just like a, you know, vent how much you fucking hate Anfield chat, but does it just frustrate anyone that whether it's because of Pep doing something mad with the formation, whether it's just because players just get inside that stadium when there's a crowd in it and just shit themselves? What is it about that stadium that we cannot go there and put in like a solid performance for 90 minutes? Like it's just
you know what?
It's baffling.
Oh, sorry, Bailey, you go.
I don't know if anybody can remember a time where Pep hasn't gone to Anfield and tried to control the whole match for 90 minutes. But I think this game today was definitely with like the back line with Alvarez, etc. It was like he kind of thought, we're gonna get attacks thrown against us. Let's just roll with it and have a chance to go both ways. And almost kind of like went that way. But it feels like every other time he's kind of wanted to control the entire game for 90 minutes. And then as soon as something kind of slightly goes off, that then throws the play on the game and everything. And then we just never seem to kind of gain control like we do in other games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you go in at 1-0 at half time at Anfield, like the one thing you've got to do in that second half is just keep it tidy for about 5 or 10 minutes. Let the crowd just like, because the crowd was
doing... You're talking about checkpoint, man. You know, what you do is at half time, you say, right, we're getting to the 50th minute mark without anyone making a mistake. I don't want to see nothing mad. I just want to see you keep the ball and keep your head. That's what it's about, man. It's about checkpoint.
No bozos.
How long it took to give up that penalty? 2 minutes. It took 2 minutes for that penalty to get given up. It was the 47th minute when Edison got booked for that. And like that, and doing that at Anfield is fucking criminal. Like that is just an absolute disgrace.
Sorry. I don't think I've supported City 43 years. I've seen as far worse, as I'm sure you lads have. I can tell. I don't think I've ever been that angry watching City before in my life. And we've drawn at Anfield. But during that game, Marie sent me upstairs. She said I was downstairs in the lounge. I was effing and blinding. The kids were upstairs, fortunately. I was going bloody spare. I opened the back patio door just to cool down. I was going bloody mad. I'm quite a chilled guy, right? And Marie was like, go upstairs in the loft and watch this. I'm not putting up with this.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody.
I got head loss, man. I got complete head loss in that watch along, and it's weird. I don't know whether it was just because it was a massive occasion, and I really deep down do believe that we needed to win the game. But you know what's funny? You know what's funny, Joe, about that? Yeah, is I sent my mate a message the other day saying I'm actually proper confident about this game, and then he sent me this back. He put, "This happens every year on Sunday night. Everyone will just say next year I'll just write off Anfield as a loss." Then the next game rolls around and everyone says, "Nah, mate, this is the
every
time."
year, every time. It's on Anfield and Spurs, like they're just guaranteed drop points every year. Like it's honestly it's so frustrating because we can go into the games, they can have so many injuries. They could have Alisson out, they could have Trent out, they can have Kanate out, they can have no Salah, they can be starting with, you know, Nunez, who is great for a miss, Diaz, who is pretty like ropey in and out of form, and who else was in their front three? Was it
Elliott and
Harvey Elliott?
Nunes.
Yeah, they can have a team that looks like that, and we can have effectively, bar Grealish, our full contingent of players available to us, and we've still found a way to put out a team that is one of the least effective set up to actually take advantage of what Liverpool have got on the pitch. And also, even despite having a 1-0 lead, despite that, do something like just basically give Liverpool a goal in the 47th minute and then immediately give that crowd just the ammunition to just take it to us for the rest of the game. And it's just, it's honestly, it's pathetic. It's honestly pathetic from our team at this point. It's such a joke.
When I saw the lineup today, which is why this game really frustrated me, and I was very foul-mouthed, as you were probably told at the pub. What's really frustrated me was that when I saw their lineup, that's where I was like, we are going to win this. But due to them having such a shit lineup for today, I knew we wouldn't. Every time when you doubt Liverpool the most, they just kind of at Anfield make it happen either way. So that's why it was so frustrating for me, because we should win that. We should win that game, and we're going into halftime leading 1-0, and they have like half a team out there, and we got almost our strongest lineup. I mean, that's it broke everything inside of me.
Just two things. One, Ortega was excellent coming in cold. I think he deserves a mention. And also, like the Anfield kind of narrative. If we flip it, and Pep mentioned this, like the Etihad, they haven't won there, and also we batter them there. Like we don't just have draws there where we come back into games. Like there's games where we've just smoked them, and they've had nothing for us. But yeah, Ortega was, especially coming in cold, apparently not signed his contract or not talking. Like that's up in the air at the moment, isn't it? As well, with the summer coming around. But he did excellent coming in.
I mean, he'll definitely be sold in the summer, man. There's no way this guy's going to be a number 2 goalkeeper. Like, I was surprised he stayed here this year, to be honest.
Yeah. As soon as we were buying links in the summer, I was like, this guy's gone.
Yeah, he's definitely going. Just to say on the Liverpool one, it feels like a missed opportunity, I think, is the way I thought of it at the end. But then the positive side was we were so bad. Arguably our worst performance of the season, maybe Villa, but I would say the second half was the worst half of the season, even worse than Villa. Yeah, and we still drew at Anfield, and we have only lost there, I think, twice in 5 or 6 years. Which I know everyone will go, oh, well, we've only drawn as well, but our record isn't as bad there, I don't think, as theirs is at our place. And people are talking about the record against top 6 and all this. We've got more points against the top 6 than Liverpool have this year. We've got 11 points and Liverpool got 8.
I actually saw that before, Tony. It took me by surprise, actually. With the second best.
We have 11. Oh yeah, we do.
That's because we've played United twice.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, yeah. There is a disclaimer that we played the shit team twice. But yeah, and just going a little bit back there as well to the remaining fixtures, and I know, LB, we disagree on this, but they could have a tough time at Old Trafford. United are crap, we know that, but they can occasionally step it up, and their record at Old Trafford against Liverpool,
you know what, Tone?
Too bad.
I listen, I don't necessarily. Okay, my point of view is I struggle to see who takes points off Liverpool. But even if I come to your sort of side there and say, okay, someone's going to take points off Liverpool, the problem is someone will also take points off City. Because I'm not that confident that we'll win our remaining 10. Yeah, so it's not even necessarily that, like, I don't think anyone will take points off Liverpool, because they might do. And hey, Liverpool haven't been blowing teams away. It's the fact that I'm sitting here saying, can I really sit here with confidence and say our next 3 games, Arsenal, Villa, Palace away, we're going to get 3 wins? I can't sit here and say 100% yeah. But we need to be winning 3 games on the bounce if we want to win this Premier League. That's why it's kind of... That's why it's kind of sketchy. Before we wrap up, there's a good point in the chat here, and we kind of spoke about it a little bit, but I wanted to sort of address it head on. Big up to Sankel, first of all, with a super chat. It says, you all believe our finishing cost us this season. Chelsea 4-4, and then 1-1. Palace 2-2. Liverpool 1-1. Spurs 3-3. That's 10 points easily. We would have won in March. And it kind of comes on to the point that Manchester Blues made is, LB, we've only been 2-0 up this season in 7 out of 28 games. Andrew super chatted it. We've only been 2-0 up in 7 out of 28 games in the Premier League. And of course, Manchester's Blues saying the same sort of thing as Sankel. What are we putting this down to, that we're not killing off games? We have only been 2-0 up in 7 out of 28. How come we're not scoring enough, or why we're not scoring at the right times? Like, what are we putting this down to, lads?
I think going back to, we don't have that many goal scorers in the team at the moment. And last season, Haaland scored on every chance. He overperformed his XG by quite a bit, and this year he's underperformed his XG quite a lot. And it's not only on Haaland, but we have been missing so many sitters at points in games where if we just score that, it's 2-0 or 3-0, and then it's done. But we don't, and then that gives the other team like a belief that if they get one goal, they can maybe go and get another goal, and that's what we have been like. That have been the problem. We are conceding stupid goals. I think we have 17 games this season where we conceded on the first shot on target. That has to be a record. I mean, and not being clinical at the same time that's I think everyone has been talking about it for quite some time now. But we keep saying, well, next week we will get into gear. Haaland will get his shooting boots on, and we will go on from there. But it just keep on going to the next week. So it has to change for me. Like, we have to be clinical, or we won't win.
Yeah, I agree with the clinical. I mean, there is goals that, you know, Foden and so on. Alvarez are pretty good, but yeah, we're just missing so many bloody chances. I mean, we have 28 shots nearly every game. Maybe not today, and far less on target, obviously. But some we just it's simply finishing, and it's just bad finishing this year. That it really is just.
You know what I think as well. Part of this is a lot of people speak about Gundogan, but I think we're missing Mahrez so much.
Yeah, mate. Mahrez's output has been replaced by Jeremy Doku, who's done fuck all outside of that Bournemouth game. Like, it's just honestly, it's just we're in a position where we've taken out. If you take out Mahrez and Gundogan, who between them are probably good for like goal contributions of like 40 goals a season, like between
40
them,
50, I'd say
40 to 50 goal contributions each, and we've replaced it with Doku, who's currently got like 7, and like 6 of them were against Bournemouth, and then like you've got on the other side you have in midfield replace it with Matheus Nunes and Kovacic, who have never been prolific goal providers or anything like that. Obviously Foden stepped up a lot this season, but even him stepping up this season is just him getting more goals and assists than he did last year. Like, he's not going to make up that entire difference like on his own. Alvarez has started a lot more games, which meant he's brought a lot more numbers with him, but most of that has been while Haaland's been out of the side with injury anyway. So it's like, well, you know, you're also losing Haaland with that. Factor in Haaland massively being, let's be honest, his finishing this season has just been bad. Like, even before his injury, like, I remember the Sheffield game was like the strongest example of when he did score in the end, but he'd missed like 3 or 4 chances, like easy chances that you would back him to score any other game along the way, and then he finally got one at the end. I mean, but to be honest, even with all this, like, we've only scored 4 or 5 less goals than Arsenal this season. Like, and they're winning games 6-0 every week. Like, we're not scoring goals. We're just conceding for fun. Like, we can't. I mean, Chelsea 4-4. Like, what's that? Like, we've never conceded. How often do we concede 4 goals under Pep Guardiola? Like, I think the last time before this will have been like Leicester or Everton in his first season. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't do it. And this season, watching us concede goals has become the norm. Like, a clean sheet is not a common thing anymore. I think that just comes down to the way that Pep has changed how we play. Like, we've gone from being this ultra controlling side that won the treble, and just like, it felt like when they went 1 goal up, even if they didn't get a second, you were pretty confident they weren't going to concede. And we've gone from that to being this chaos team that just like it scores a goal, but it'll give you like 3 or 4 chances the other way that give you a chance to get back into the game. And if you factor that in with when we are creating so many chances with the chaos that we have going in attack, we're not actually putting those chances away, then the benefits of having chaos in attack don't no longer outweigh what you lose in defense if you aren't actually scoring those chances. Like, if we're doing an absolute madness going up front, and then it means that Haaland's scoring like 5 or 6 because like no one knows how to handle what we're doing up front, then cool. But if our plan is pass it to Jeremy Doku, who gets, you know, 2 men up against him who easily dispossess him, and then the team goes up the other end, has a counter attack and scores. Like that's not a plan. Like that just goes so totally against what we've seen Guardiola do throughout his entire managerial
career. Joe, let me ask you a
up until
question
this
then.
point.
Do you think then that changes when Grealish comes back into this team? Because I want to try and end on a positive, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Grealish. Like we saw it in Copenhagen. We saw it for 20 minutes against Luton. Like what Grealish brings to this team is massive, and I've been saying that all season. Like even when Doku was looking really exciting when he first sort of burst into the team, like he what he does give us, he just doesn't have that thing that Grealish does, which is like what makes him so important. Like Grealish just knows how to keep hold of the ball. He knows how to just like win a shithouse foul when we're like when the pressure's on us. Like it's just those are the things that we just need to sort of control a game and just set the tempo. And we've not had it since as long as Grealish has been injured. Like we've obviously got a lot of players in the middle who can do it. I think when Kovacic plays, we come the closest to having that again. But Grealish kind of makes it really consistent. Honestly, if we get to the other side of the international break, and as Sai said before, Grealish is back, and he keeps that injury sort of like in check, and we have him between now and the end of the season, then I back us to finish the season really strongly. And whether that's with the Premier League or not, like we'll win a trophy. Like I think we will if we have Grealish fit for the rest of the season. I think we'll win something. But if we're going to sort of go on the rest of the season without Grealish, and we're going to have this sort of weird, no control chaos ball all season long, I don't see how we, especially in the Champions League, I don't see how we come against Madrid and come out the other side of that game feeling anything, not having gone out. I think it's, I think we really need what Grealish is bringing back, and fingers crossed, come the other side of the international break, we'll have it.
What about? See, I would rather Nunes be out there than Doku or Alvarez. Nunes, I know he's not been brilliant. He's had a few games where I think he's been man of the match, and a couple of games he's disappointed. Everton home, he was really, really poor. But I would rather have him out there because to me, he's got more attributes that line up to Grealish, certainly than Doku does. And Alvarez, to be honest, he's a bit better at keeping the ball. He's still learning. I'm not saying he is Grealish. I'm just saying I'd probably rather Nunes out there. Just to throw that out there, because Joe mentioned Nunes.
I agree. I think Nunes is a potential candidate. It's early. You might try him there and it might not work. But I don't know, Bailey. I mean, you like your sort of threads and your tactical analysis. I mean, Nunes on that left-hand side, I think he played it once and did all right. Do you see it as a potential, not like a main option, because obviously it could be Grealish, but when Grealish is out, is it a potential you could play him there?
Yeah, I definitely would say so, but I think it's more away games that he's been trialing it, just because more touches on the ball, more kind of control. Whereas at home, there's a bit more emphasis to have Rodri just by himself and push on. But I would just say I made a sheet on the minutes that goes through on some players. And if you look at Grealish, he's just had an inconsistent season through injury, through suspensions. There was a point where Pep kept calling him out in the press conferences constantly. There's obviously something that went behind the scenes there. So he really should have a season that's 90 minutes all the way through, just like Rodri, just like Bernardo, except he hasn't. Kovacic is much the same. And then the lineups always seem to have a trade-off between, are we adding a goal scorer? Are we trying to take more control? Can't do both, whereas Gundogan and Mahrez can do both. They're just plug and play and cover those. Whereas at the moment, it's, okay, if I add Doku, then I've got to change this person around. I have to change the midfield this way. If I bring Kovacic in, then obviously I don't have as much threat going forward. And it's just always like a chop and change. And I think if you look back at our season, I'd struggle to find maybe more than 3 performances that you can say would be like our top end best. I think if you look at Arsenal just this year, you've probably seen 5 performances that have been excellent. But City through the season, we've never really hit that top gear where everything's functioning. Just 20 minutes in Copenhagen.
Yeah,
no, I agree. We've had little like little we've seen it here or there, but it's always for whatever reason ended. You know what I mean? We've never really seen it consistently. Anyone want to add anything else on the panel, lads, before we wrap up on tonight's show?
Very, very quick, because I am always moaning about officials, or as you know, LB, tin out and all that sort of stuff. I actually thought the officials did well today. Now, I know someone's going to go, oh, that's because Doku gave away a penalty and didn't give it and all this and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to hold my hands up. I was worried about the officials. I thought they did a blinding job. And if there's any Liverpool fans watching, yes.
Yeah, I think I'll be that guy. Yeah, Doku, man, that's a penalty all day long. Like that's. Honestly, that makes it better for me that it turned out that we, if it means that they all get to be. I've already seen like plenty of scousers bringing up the fact that Michael Oliver has been doing some refereeing in Abu Dhabi at some point throughout this season as a bit of backhanded payments. But if it comes with if it means that there's a little bit of extra scouse crying after the game, then brilliant. But that's it. When that went to VAR, I was convinced it was going to be a penalty. Like looking at it, I was like, nah, this guy's studded him right in his chest. There's no way this isn't a penalty. But hey, VAR's not all bad after all. I'll take it.
It's brilliant, mate.
That's given at Anfield 99 out of 100 times. That one.
Yeah, we got lucky.
Very lucky.
When I saw that, I was like, no, not again.
Yeah,
but I think they owe us a bit if we go back in history and look at our Anfield game. So,
100%.
yeah,
that's
we were lucky there. Give us
yeah.
that, and then so let's all move on and be happy and let's beat Arsenal and let's go on to win.
We will, Si. We'll beat
we
them.
will. Hey, look
I will
at this
be there.
well.
I will be there for the Arsenal game if anyone
good
wants to meet up.
I'm there next week.
Oh yeah, you are going. No, it's all right. So just say Science Silver says Doku was 5 centimeters away from not being cooked today. Imagine if that went in, man. 88th minute. To be honest with you, the way we were playing, we would have ended up conceding and equalised.
That would have been. Do you remember the Sané goal where we won 2-1 in that season? We beat them. Like, that would have been this Sané moment for Doku if that had went in.
Oh, that would have been such a big confidence boost.
It was the same shot as well. I was like, yeah, it's going in. No.
No. It was sad.
Heartbreaking.
Right, lads, I'll wrap it up there. It's been a great show. Thank you very much for joining me. Bailey, you're the first time on the show. Hopefully you enjoyed it, man. Hopefully you come on again. Thanks for coming on, buddy. And you've obviously got the Sky Blue Times Twitter account. Guys, go give this account a follow, man. Bailey only started this recently, but it's great for like loads of different threads, loads of stuff that he puts on here. Really, really good read. So go follow him, man, on here, the Sky Blue Times. But yeah, Bailey, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Just thanks for the opportunity. Enjoyed it with all of you. Listened to plenty of streams and been in the audience with everybody watching right now. So big up to LB.
Nice one, man. Joe, how many podcasts are you doing this week, buddy?
Oh God, I'm on the Liverpool review for this one. So that'll be out tomorrow in the City Report podcast. So give that a listen. But yeah, other than that, I'm just being a gobshite on Twitter usually. So that's my normal go-to. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good. It feels like I've fully I've cleansed myself of this fixture now tonight. Like I'm done. I can wake up tomorrow and it's a brand new week.
Yeah, I got off our chest. Si, what's going on, man? What are you up to this week, bro?
Recovering. I'm so tired right now after that game. No, I will be active on all the Twitter accounts and all the platforms on YouTube. But relaxing, waiting for the next game. Just be ready.
This weekend, easy game. Yeah, Newcastle. Fuck it now. Anton, what you up to this week, man? Got anything good going on?
I'm just glad City aren't playing this midweek. I'm exhausted. Like Si said, I've had enough. I need a few days away. No, I'm off to Manchester, travelling up Friday afternoon around lunchtime. So hopefully I'll get on with you as normal, but I'm sure we'll chat about that. But yeah, I'm heading up to Manchester. So if any of you lads are there, hopefully I'll be bump into you. And I would say have a beer, but I don't really drink. So maybe chips and gravy instead.
Fair enough.
I'll be doing that.
Yeah, well, big up, lad. Thanks for coming on, man. I actually really, really enjoyed it. A bit of a therapy session there. And yeah, we move on now. Our next Premier League game, Arsenal, guys. My God, is that a big game? That is like a final. That is like a final right now. Guys, hopefully you did enjoy the show. If you did, please smash a like on the stream. Really help support the channel. Make sure you subscribe. This is the second channel. Double check you are subscribed to this one. And of course, if you are watching this back on the replay, make sure you give us your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I'll be back tomorrow. 11 a.m. Elbins, we will be there. And guys, I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.